We're going to stay in England for our final topic today. We tease it, the preview of tomorrow's massive match, the Mourinho derby, if you will. Tottenham-Chelsea exclusively on Peacock in the United States. I'm sure everyone here loves that, smiling, groaning, all that mix of emotions. But regardless, Chelsea Spurs is intriguing for a lot of reasons that we are going to get into. Right now, though, it's not necessarily a title chase that we thought it was going to be at the beginning of the year. Tottenham in 6th, Chelsea in 7th. Chelsea with a game ahead, but they are level on points at 33. Both teams score an equal amount of goals, and they give up the same amount of goals. 9-6-5 for Tottenham, 9-6-6 for Chelsea. So an even game. Andrew, I'm going to ask you this first, and this is going to go with our American boy, our Wonder Boy, and then we'll preview the match as a whole. But Christian Pulisic said in an article, I believe it was published in the Daily Mail, I think in England, Pulisic said Thomas Tuchel's season war is a false nine, is a withdrawn forward with Chelsea. And this could be at the expense of a Timo Werner who's misfiring. Could be with Kai Havertz or relegate Kai Havertz to the bench, and then Tammy Abraham's not getting his minutes. Olivier Giroud's not getting his minutes. So are you liking that Pulisic in a false nine role? And what are your thoughts on Tuchel's tactics? First, let's answer the Pulisic question, and then we'll get into what Thomas Tuchel's done so far.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, hey, if Pulisic's going to be out there on the pitch and, be an integral part of this attack and this Chelsea squad, then I'm all for it, regardless of where it is. And it sounds like he's all for it here. And I think Thomas Tuchel kind of knows, too, what to get the best out of him. I mean, he was Dortmund's manager when Pulisic came up with Dortmund and made his senior debut there. So they do have a little bit of history together, albeit a little bit of a short one. But he came on as a sub against Burnley over the weekend and played in a bit of that false nine role. And he looked very, very good in his short stint and ended up assisting in that second goal to Marcus Alonso. So it certainly worked out in a short stint there. So I guess Tuchel's going to want to see it in a longevity thing. And what better way to do it than in the immediate match, put him in the starting 11 in that spot against a key rival in a big match against Tottenham. So I'm looking forward to it. Look, regardless of where Christian Pulisic is, I still think his best position is at left wing. But if they're going to continuously try to force Timo Werner in that left wing spot, that's another thing. But if you're going to take that position away from Pulisic and give him something else, then fine. Let's see how he does in that other position. But Pulisic, regardless of where he is, because you're never going to play him in a deep, lying midfielder role or anything like that. You're always going to play him up top in a false nine type of thing, or outside of the wings, or as an attacking midfielder. Regardless of where he is up top there, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to go at players. He's going to be good with the ball at his feet, and he's going to be able to dish out passes and also take the occasional shot because he's a very good, guy who takes shots on goal. So I like the move. I'm interested to see if it works out for them. It does come at the expense, so I think more so Kai Havertz than Timo Werner. But like I said, Timo Werner's a different story because they're trying to convert him to a left wing and just isn't happening. For Havertz, they're starting to play him in a bit of a role, and he played a little bit of that false nine with Bayer Leverkusen last season after the restart, and he looked pretty good in that position too. So could come at the expense of those two guys, but I think Tuchel's going to be. You're going to see a lot of squad rotation in this Chelsea squad with Thomas Tuchel, especially with the Champions League coming up in a couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot of matches coming, two matches a week basically for an entire month of February. So you're going to see a lot of squad rotation, and you're going to see a lot of guys coming in and out. But in terms of this Pulisic move here in the false nine, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm excited to see if Pulisic can kind of carve his way back into the starting 11 on a regular basis. And if it's in a false nine role, if he plays well, and so be it. And Thomas Tuchel kind of looks like a genius. So I'm excited for it. Any news with Christian Pulisic that's positive, I'm excited for doubly because I'm American and because I'm a Chelsea fan. So I'm excited to see how this works out.
Yeah, and one thing also that I want to bring up too is that there is so many talented young players at Chelsea. Another one that was kind of pushed down the pecking order by Frank Lampard and wasn't getting a lot of minutes. That's Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he started against Wolves, started against Burnley, 90 minutes against Wolves, 73 against Burnley, and he had the assist to Cesar Azpilicueta, playing as almost a right wing back and an auxiliary wing back, and he's kind of seen his performances, really rise to the occasion. He just hugs the touchline and then drives at defenders with the ball and does enough defensively to run back. What have you seen from him? Because he's someone who we know is at talent. Bayern Munich was in on him about a year ago. But he's also someone that comes into the team at the expense of a lot of these talented young players that we were talking about. Would you start him tomorrow against Tottenham?
I would. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi has earned that right to stick in the starting 11 as long as he continues to perform, and then he maybe gets to that point where even if he has a couple days off, he's still earned his spot in that starting 11 unless somebody like a Hakim Ziyech or something like that comes in and lights a spark a little bit, and maybe they deserve a starting role. That's a good thing about Chelsea, I guess, or they have plenty of depth albeit a lot of these guys maybe not on their best days as of late, because Chelsea, we know their current form. And it led to Frank Lampard sacking a little bit. So, but that's a good problem to have. But Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's always been a guy that I like. Anytime he's in the starting 11, early on when he was, super young, 18, 19, he's still only 20 years old. So it's not that far away. But the last couple of seasons, anytime he's been starting the 11, whether it be in an FA Cup match, whether it be in a Champions League match or something like that, I've always been excited and excited to watch him play. And I think the bulk of Chelsea Twitter as well, at least the people that I follow, they like Callum Hudson-Odoi, and they think he should deserve a little bit of a run. Frank Lampard played an integral role in convincing him to stay because he was gone. He was going to Bayern Munich. I think the initial offer was like 25, 30 million because he wasn't getting playing time, and Bayern wanted him. And, if you're going to get 30 million for an 18-year-old kid who's only had a couple of senior appearances, then, yeah, you're going to take that, especially if you're Chelsea, who's all about money, money, money. But Frank Lampard sat and said, you know what? No, I want you to be part of this team. I'm going to give you playing time. He didn't really do that. So Callum Hudson-Odoi kind of been waiting in the wings a little bit, and he finally got a little bit of a run with Frank Lampard in those last couple of matches before he was sacked. And now Tuchel gives him a little bit of a run as well. He's been playing very well. He's been one of the better Chelsea players in the last month or so when their form has been down. So I think that amplifies it even more that he should deserve a little bit more of a run because he's been one of their lone bright spots in this very, very poor run of form in the last 5-6 weeks. So, yeah, I would start him against Tottenham. I would give him another run here and see if he can, carve out a bit of a role again like Christian Pulisic. But like I said, he's going to get his run, even if it's not with Tottenham. He's going to get his run. Everybody is. You're seeing guys who playing for Tuchel now who wasn't even on the radar.
Marcus Alonso scored last game.
Yeah. Marcus Alonso is the premier example. He was third in the pecking order at left back with Ben Chilwell and Emerson sitting there ahead of him. And then he comes in here and Tuchel says, you know what, we're going to start him in this left wing back role that he played very, very well. Marcus Alonso did under Antonio Conte a couple of years ago. Played very well in that left wing back role. And he goes out and scores in his first match under Tuchel. So a lot of these guys are going to get runs. A lot of guys that we haven't seen play for Chelsea this year and under Frank Lampard during his tenure are going to get a run here with Thomas Tuchel because he loves his squad rotation. He's going to have plenty of matches to do it if the Chelsea, keeps advancing in the FA Cup, keeps advancing in the Champions League. He's going to have plenty of opportunity to rotate his squad and get all these guys some playing time. So I'm excited in that aspect as well. If Chelsea keeps winning, I don't really give a shit who's on the pitch, to be honest with you. If they keep winning, I don't really care. So I'm excited to see what kind of squad rotation comes as those, cup matches start to come up and stuff like that. It's an exciting time right now at Chelsea. I know we couldn't say that about 2 weeks ago, but Tuchel looks like he's working some stuff out. I'm not going to take a 2-0 win against Burnley and say, oh my God, it's like the revolution of Thomas Tuchel or anything like that. But you can start to see the changes a little bit here, and the wheels are starting to move for Chelsea. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I talked about when Tuchel was hired that I love is his tactical versatility. And part of that is getting different players into the side because they will suit different things that Chelsea's trying to do. And Chelsea, there's never a question about their lack of talent. Now they can adapt to not just their opponent, but play their own game. And they'll have different players in different systems that know what they're doing. Callum Hudson-Odoi and Marcus Alonso, prime examples of that. Anything you want to add about Chelsea, want to discuss, want to throw into the ring before we do an over-under for Spurs and then get your game prediction here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for this match, the first big match under Thomas Tuchel, and the first road match, the first away match for Thomas Tuchel. So it could be a bit of a different environment, a different feel. Obviously, it's not going to be with fans still, unfortunately, but still going to be a derby that has a lot of implications, that has a lot of European implications, and anytime Chelsea and Tottenham meet, it's going to be a fun match. So I'm hoping that is an absolute opposite of what their first matchup was a couple of weeks ago when they played to a 0-0 draw. I'm hoping we're going to see some goals in this one, and it's going to benefit Chelsea obviously rather than Spurs. But it should be a very, very exciting match. I'm interested to see what the starting 11 is going to be because I mentioned it. Thomas Tuchel loves to rotate his squad here. We saw guys like Reece James, sit in that match against Burnley. So we'll see if he goes back to Reece James or if he sticks with Azpilicueta, who did end up scoring as well in that match against Burnley. So excited for the squad rotation, excited for this match. Anytime we're playing Tottenham, I'm excited, and hopefully we can walk away with the 3 points here and a big, big win. The first, signature win, I guess you can say, under Thomas Tuchel, hopefully.
Captain on the night, Raheem Sterling gets the second for Manchester City. We're just watching that here. It's 7 goals left to 9, as we speculated earlier on in the show. Chelsea Tottenham, very interesting. That's happening tomorrow at 3:00. One question about Spurs before we get your prediction. Sorry, Will's not here, our Spurs guy, so we're just going to kind of not talk about boring Tottenham. No offense. This is obviously a big match for Jose Mourinho, and obviously a big match where he won't have his best player, Harry Kane. And we talked about it earlier in the year. I think it was just a show with you and I. Maybe Will wasn't even here. And we were saying how Spurs' run, because at that point they were first in the Premier League and really pushing. I was saying it was unsustainable because you can't have Harry Kane and Heung-min Son contribute for 95% of your goal contributions. And those two are still phenomenal players. They're two of the best in the Premier League. But Heung-min Son, little dip in form. Harry Kane injured. Heung-min Son looks almost lost against Brighton without Harry Kane. The over-under here is 0.5 for Spurs goals tomorrow against Chelsea. Are you taking the over-under on that, Andrew?
This is tough because, I mean, Chelsea's defense is, a completely different story. At some days, they still look terrible like they were last year, but they have improved a lot this season. And that is to credit to the bringing in of Ben Chilwell, to the signing of Thiago Silva. Back-to-back matches with a clean sheet against Wolves and Burnley. So, take that as what you will. And also one goal allowed against Luton Town with basically a B-tier type of back four there. But I'm taking the under, man. I think Chelsea's going to win this match, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep a clean sheet against Tottenham, because where are the goals coming from Tottenham right now? Harry Kane's gone. Heung-min Son is lost, like you said. They don't have anybody else. And me and Will talked about it on Monday. Some guys need to step up. I pointed out Lucas Moura and Gareth Bale to step up and be guys for this Tottenham squad. But they're veteran guys who haven't really gotten much of a run this season. So, are they going to be in Jose Mourinho's plans? They should be now, because, they need to rotate some of that, attacking, trio up top or whatever it is they're going to be playing, and find some goals from anyone, some type of source. So, I don't see it happening in this match, to be honest with you. Chelsea have a good enough defense where if these guys don't pick it up early, then Chelsea will be able to lay it down on them and be able to hold them to a couple shots. Burnley had one shot on Sunday against Chelsea. I know Burnley is not Tottenham. Tottenham are miles better than Burnley, at least on paper. But, the fact that Chelsea went out there and played basically a perfect match on the defensive side against Burnley on Sunday, that should scare Tottenham a little bit, especially the way their offense is going right now. So if I were a betting man, I'd take the under in that one. I know it's only one goal, and Chelsea have been prone to make mistakes this season, even with that new and improved back line. But Tottenham just can't find the back of the net right now, regardless of who they're playing. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, I'll get your prediction on the Chelsea side in a second, but I laughed because you said Lucas Moura and Gareth Bale have to step up, and I totally agree. But I felt horrible because when Gareth Bale came into Tottenham, Will was so excited, and I was sitting here saying, obviously Tottenham pessimist, Arsenal supporter, but I was like, hey, Will, this is a romantic move. It's really cool. But, Gareth Bale is going to do nothing. He's going to do nothing. It's just a waste of money. You're bringing him in. You're paying whatever, half of his fees. That's still $300,000 a week or whatever it is. He's just sit on the bench and do nothing. And Will obviously was very supportive of Gareth Bale, as he should be. But Gareth Bale scored against Brighton, his only goal in the Premier League, in a 20-minute foray. Besides that, Gareth Bale's goals for Tottenham against Lask in the Europa League, against Stoke in the EFL Cup, against Wickham in the FA Cup. That's all Gareth Bale scored for Tottenham this year. Hasn't had a real run on this side, that's true, but he still hasn't found a way to get it done. Maybe he'll get more of a run in because they need some offensive creativity. But I laughed a little because I felt bad because Will was genuinely happy that Gareth Bale is back, and I would be too if an Arsenal legend of sorts comes back to the club. But I had a feeling it wasn't going to work out. But I agree. I'm going to go with the under on this one as well. I don't see where Tottenham are getting goals from, like you said. Maybe Heung-min Son can have a moment of brilliance, but besides that, the only way they'll score is maybe a set piece. And I think Chelsea will line up in a back three, and they, at least back to the Antonio Conte days, I know you love Conte, they have looked sturdiest in a back three because, as I like to say, if you have two center backs and you're not sure how good they are, just stick a third one back there because three bad players defending the box is better than two bad ones. As a joke, but theoretically, that it works. You just have more guys in the box to head the ball away. Regardless, I'll still go with the under. Give me your full prediction, though. We know Chelsea, you're going to have them score a goal. You wouldn't pick a 0-0 draw, I don't think. You might, though. But where are you leaning here?
I think I'm going to go Chelsea here. I'm not going to say it's, an exploding goal fest or a 9-0 win like Man U had over Southampton, but I think I'm going to go 2-0 to Chelsea. I think they'll be able to grab a goal maybe early on and then in the latter stages get one that seal the deal for them. But this should be a good match. And I'm not going to say that Tottenham's just going to be completely out of it like they were against Brighton. I think they're going to be up for this match, and they're going to find a way to make some scoring opportunities and put some shots on net. But at the end of the day, I think Chelsea are in the slightly better form right now. I think they're looking good under Tuchel. They have a newfound confidence under Thomas Tuchel. A lot of players getting runs that they wouldn't have had under Frank Lampard in recent weeks. So I think there's just a different feel in the dressing room, and I think that can really spark something, especially in a big derby match like this. So, and a win for Chelsea here, depending on what happens with West Ham today against Aston Villa. With a win here, Chelsea can move up to 5th place, where 2 weeks ago they were sitting pretty in 10th, and everybody was saying, "Oh my God, this is terrible. Frank Lampard's gone. Chelsea's not going to make even Europa League." And now 2 weeks later, after a couple of positive results here and possibly a win against Tottenham, they could be jumped in and just one position behind that 4th place Champions League spot. So I'm going to go with the 2-0 win, Chelsea here. I'm going to say our guy Christian Pulisic is man of the match. I think he is going to thrive in that false 9 role. Maybe not for the entirety of this season, but for this match, I think he's going to be confident. He has a newfound confidence under Thomas Tuchel, who he's played under before at Dortmund. And I think he's going to play an integral role in this match. Maybe not man of the match. I'm picking him for it, but he's going to have something to say in this match, Christian Pulisic. So 2-0 Chelsea. Let's go Blues, baby. I'm ready.
Will, I hope you're listening to this show today, and I hope you get to this point, because this is a reason that Andrew and I are the dynamic duo of London's finest. Whenever we're on at the same time, we're doing a Don't Look Stupid, we're doing a prediction, we have the same exact thought. I had Chelsea 2-0 in this one as well. I'm not going to stray from that opinion. And I do think the man of the match is going to be Christian Pulisic. Maybe I should take off my United States flag blinders.
This is not American bias. This is not American bias.
I'd really like Christian Pulisic in that false 9 role. He hasn't really gotten going this season to the extent he did post-COVID lockdown, where he was arguably the best player in the league. But I think in that false 9 role, he's going to take up a lot of tight spaces, cause some problems. I think he'll score. And I think the second goal for Chelsea, hear me out, will come from whoever is in that left back, left wing back role, whether it's Ben Chilwell. Don't know if it's going to be Marcus Alonso. I would assume it would be Chilwell, because we know Marcus Alonso is great in the final third, does struggle a little bit defensively, especially as he's gotten older. So I think it will be Chilwell, but Ben Chilwell can also hit them too. But either one of those, I think, will get the goal, because Christian Pulisic could start on that left-hand side and come inside and vacate that area. Or if he starts as a false 9 too, Chilwell or Alonso will still get forward. But I got 2-0 Chelsea in this one. This will be a fascinating watch. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock in America. Man, I always wonder this too. And just let me get your thoughts on this too. In America, for example, for everyone listening in other countries, thank you for listening. But for us, these games are 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They're 10 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes Arsenal's playing at 7:30 in the morning. I just want to know what the sport is like watching it. You wait a whole day for Arsenal to play. You wait a whole day for Chelsea to play, because most of the time for Arsenal, they play at 10 a.m. on Saturdays, most of their matches. So I'll set my alarm for like 9:55 a.m., wake up, look at the starting lineup, and roll around in bed, put the game on my laptop as I'm watching and dissecting and analyzing. But you ever think about that? Because I think about that sometimes too with American football, how it starts at 1 o'clock here, but California on the west coast of the United States, 3-hour difference. That starts at 10 a.m. there, so you're waking up and watching that. That's how we feel watching the Premier League, and it's branded as Premier League mornings in America. But I was just wondering if you thought about that, because I think about that pretty often when I see these early times for Arsenal, and I moan because I just don't want to wake up that early, but I will to watch them.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's ran through my head plenty of times, especially when I have to wake up for those 7 a.m. games. I haven't done it as of late, but if there is a big match, which is cruel by the Premier League schedulers to make a big match out of 7 a.m. here in the East Coast, but yeah, it is something that I do think about. And you made a good point about the West Coast for American football here. I would love that. I mean, I love regular football, soccer. I love that, and waking up for that is something that I look forward to each Saturday and Sunday too. When I'm feeling up to waking up for it, but for American football, I would love to wake up right when I wake up 10 a.m. and football all the way through 8 o'clock with the late games. But yeah, for England, I'm sure I guess it's a similar feel to our baseball schedule or something like that, where if there's like a big World Series game starting at 8 o'clock. It's the same thing here there in England when they have a big match starting at 8 o'clock. They have their own Monday Night Football with those 3 o'clock East Coast games here. So yeah, it's definitely something that would be intriguing to kind of spend a couple weeks over there in Europe or in England and kind of experience that, waking up and going about your day a little bit until you're waiting for that match to kick off, whether it be 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock or something like that. Definitely something to think about.
Yeah, and I absolutely just jinxed myself watching this. Arsenal Saturday against Aston Villa at 7:30 a.m. the United States. So that's a problem that I'm going to have to face. That's going to be a Friday night decision whether we get up for that. But I do have to say, whenever Arsenal plays earlier, they almost always lose. You always wake up and watch, and it just doesn't feel worth it when you watch them put in a stinker for 90 minutes. That's all the time we got on London's Finest today. Hopefully you guys are watching at a normal time, not at 7:30 in the morning, but regardless, we appreciate your support. Whenever you can check us out on Twitter at London's Finest QU. You can check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We have our recent episodes firing up there, and the few that we don't have will be there in the near future. For Andrew Myers, Will Fowler should be back on Friday. I'm Jonathan Banks. We'll see you guys on Friday for the next edition of London's Finest.